Welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic. Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy at the request of Patreon subscriber Leo, who has me playing Yorion Grixis. Leo is known for this deck in our Patreon Discord and in his local community. I've played this deck on the channel a couple times before. Last year, 13 months ago, I actually trophied with this deck, this archetype. Deck's changed a little bit since then, but 5-0 on the channel is posted with this list if you want to go check that out. And Leo sent it back in to celebrate a recent top 8 in paper. Congrats on that, Leo. And we're at the stage at this point where I have access to Lord of the Rings cards, but Leo wanted to commemorate this moment by rocking out the same list that made the top 8 of the event. And that's cool with me. Honestly, assessing this list, Orcish Bowmasters, like you could see a world where it makes sense, but we're already on 4 Hullbreacher, 3 Narset, 2 Days Undoing, and a Dack Fayden. And I guess we can count Prismari Command in there as well. These are all cards that work together at making your opponent not draw extra cards or punishing them for doing so. And Bowmasters, while it does kind of fit that theme, it also doesn't stop them from drawing the cards, and we're not a deck that really needs to leverage incidental damage. The point I'm trying to make here is thinking that Bowmaster and Hullbreacher belong in the same deck because they both punish card draw might not necessarily be the case. Some decks might want both, but the theme of this deck is stop your opponent from drawing cards, and then adding a card that punishes them for drawing cards after they can't draw cards anymore might not be what you're looking for. And this deck is chock full of removal. That is the strength of Grixis. Genuinely might not want Bowmasters, though I'm also just not going to play it, even if we did. But I wanted to address it because I know that's the first thing people are going to ask. This deck, though, Grixis is something I was super into when THICC Consumes All first came out. This card kind of flipped the place of Grixis in the metagame. You can never beat Delver, and you can never beat Uro decks. And THICC Consumes All is a sweeper versus Delver's threats, and then it also exiles all graveyards, which messes with Uro decks. And checked a lot of boxes that this archetype needed checked. Fury is a huge addition to this deck as well, just early interaction or a late game way to actually win the game. You get to 5 mana and beyond in this deck all the time, and this is a great way to close out a game. We all know I love Baleful Strix. Just gumming up the board, drawing cards. And then we have the Sampler Platter of removal. This is kind of the weakness of Grixis, where we have a ton of removal, but all of it is largely conditional. There's no Swords to Plowshare's Prismatic Ending, is what I'm saying, but we do have Lightning Bolt, Anoint with Affliction, a card that I have not seen in a Legacy deck before. Exile target creature if it has mana value 3 or less. And then there's some corrupted flavor text, but we have no way to give our opponent poison. This is just a smother that exiles. It's a great answer to Uro. But again, a powerful but conditional removal spell. Sheoldred's Edict, powerful but conditional. Sudden Edict. You get it by now. And then I already mentioned Fury. And then we have K Command, THICC Consumes All, and Prismari Command. Deck full of removal. We just have to hope it lines up right. And a very spicy card that's being played in high numbers here. I've played this card before in Modern. It was a thing in Grixis Death Shadow for a little while. Rise, Fall. Rise, blue-black sorcery. Return a creature card from a graveyard and a creature card from the battlefield to their owner's hands. Nice little 2-for-1. And Fall. Target player reveals 2 cards at random from their hand, then discards each non-land card revealed this way. Kind of a fixed Hymn to Turok. It could discard 2 cards at random, but it can't screw them off lands. And it's actually easier to cast in this deck than Hymn to Turok. Plus the modality of rising or falling is pretty sweet. Leo's on 3 of these. Love that. We'll almost certainly be casting that card in those numbers. And that's the deck. This is just classic control 1-for-1 removal until you get your 2-for-1 advantages online. And then We also have the Hullbreacher Narset Dazen doing top end to really lock games out. I'm excited for it. Let's go. Grixis Yorion. I'm on the draw in round 1. This hand doesn't interact early in a way that I'd really like. I'd be much happier if one of these lands was a lightning bolt or something. But Force of Will, helping to bridge the gap into whichever planeswalker I think will be better in the matchup. I'm going to keep this hand. An opponent immediately punishing my keep with a Dragon's Rage Channeler. Fair enough. I'll just play a land and pass. That's the thing about Legacy and Magic in general. There's a massive swath of decks where my hand is fine, and then there's this one where it's just about the worst hand. But I do have access to basic lands. I'm not going to get wastelanded out of here. Deck's full of removal. I just got to draw some of it. It'll be a big part of this will be how quickly they can get Delirium. If I start taking 3s this turn, I could be in trouble. So there's 3 now. If they find a bauble, I'm in trouble. But if I just take 1 here, that's a big relief. Cool. Looks like 1 is the number. A removal spell, please. A basic island. I guess I'll play it. Having drawn 2 lands after keeping 4 lands. Not ideal, obviously. Ooh, no effects pre-combat. Just 1 from this channeler. Oh, no land, no play. So they are brainstorm locked, but their hand is full of spells. And I keep drawing non-lands. It's good stuff. Okay, I'm going to fetch here. And I'll put Yorion in my hand. Might as well. That'll cause me to go to discard, but I'm not using all these lands anyway. Bolting me in the end step. This could result in Delirium. That's not a Delirium card. Clean up. I'm going to discard Bloodstained Mire? No, I'm going to discard one of these non-basics. The Underground Sea. I have my blue and black under me. It's like another turn of attacking for 1. Excited about that. Volcanic Island. They missed their land drop last turn, so Volcanic Island was their draw this turn. Murktide Regent. I'm going to force this pitching Yorion, and I'm going to get dazed into hell and beyond. Yep. As predicted. Dazed. We knew that was going to happen, but I had to start the fight somewhere. Baleful Strix. Okay. This is the type of card I'm excited to draw in this spot. I'm going to put it into play. They fired off that bolt at my face earlier. Okay, forcing me back, just getting hyper aggro on Baleful Strix. Yeah, that bolt they sent to my face earlier. Costing them a card here, but we knew their hand was going to be full of spells. Then they can attack me down to 5 this turn. Okay. Might just be dead. Oh, they had a bolt also. Clearly just drew that. They have second Murktide. We just die now. Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, that hand that was kept, obviously didn't know we were on the draw against Delver at the time. Probably wouldn't have kept that one. But we get to bring in a bunch of sideboard cards. I do genuinely consider Delver versus Grixis to be favorable for Grixis. But you do have to check some important boxes. Force of Will can come straight out here. I don't love Days Undoing in this matchup. It's just a clunky 3-drop that only works if you resolve a different clunky 3-drop. Force of Negation, pretty bad too. That opens up 1 slot. I could bring in a Ruination, try to slam the door. I don't generally like taking that route versus Delver though. I think that having my perfect mana and my Mystic Sanctuaries and all my stuff working for me is better than trying to cheese 2 or 3 lands out from under them that they can just play through anyway. Feed the Swarm is a removal spell that's not in my deck yet. Losing 1 life to kill a Dragon's Rage Channeler, I'm fine with. Losing 7 life to kill a Murktide's kind of a bad deal. But I think it is correct to bring this in. Let's do it. Island Ponder, baby. I'm in. And here's this Feed the Swarm. The fun of... I am going to fetch basic Island, even though, obviously, I'd rather have a dual land here, but any swamp, and there's a swamp immediately, with a Brainstorm to go with it. I'm going to tuck the Bolt at the bottom here, and I'm probably just going in on Baleful Strix on this turn. Oh, we're Grixis. They got me. So they're going to be this Grixis Bowmaster tempo deck. managed to hide the color for the entire game one. Good stuff. This is the hand you want against decks like this. It's just 4 removal spells and a cantrip, and one of the removal spells also cantrips. He took Feed the Swarm. Interesting. I am prepared to get dazed here, but investing in Baleful Strix is where I want to be with my life. So this feels like a Bowmaster. Hit the basic mountain right away. Yeah, if they just play Bowmaster here, pick off Strix, and then make it harder to brainstorm, that is a line that exists. Yep. But doing this, I can fall, targeting the army and Baleful Strix. That's not too bad. Strix lines up very poorly versus Bowmaster, though. Holy moly. Maybe I have to Fury this thing. Is there any world I can just play through this without killing it with Fury? Probably not. If they have Force of Will, that's really bad, but okay. Well, they got me. Pitch cast Fury. And they have the Force. Yep. Okay. Obliterated by Bowmaster. What a world. I have to ponder into this. Okay, I can blue-black. Don't shuffle this. They get to ping me for 1. Do I want red? Do I want to try to fall them here? And then just go in on... Yeah, I think I'm going to try to fall them. Rather than trying to pick up the Strix, which just dies to the Bowmaster anyway. We hit Lightning Bolt, and there's a land in this hand. Oh, right, Fury was in the graveyard. Maybe I was supposed to fall or rise the army and pick up the Fury. Can put Yorion in front of these things next turn. Yeah, I wish I had bounced the army and picked up Fury. That was a misstep. I got excited about the idea of getting them their hand empty on this position. Blue Elemental Blast. I don't really have options here. What are my double black cards? Just Sorin. Okay. Mountain and Island. Sucks to run a 5-drop into Daze. Pyroblast was going to work anyway. I didn't have the luxury of waiting to play with the blue blast up. A removal spell, maybe? Fury? Counter spell. Okay, we are just dead. If I brainstorm, I go to 2. Yeah, there's no way out here. Yuck. Yep, actually completely destroyed by Orcish Bowmasters. While we may not want it ourselves, this deck is super soft to this card.
You come here to level up at Magic. To level up as a software engineer, check out the new YouTube series Dev Better, hosted by the founder of 7Factor Software and Magic player, Jeremy Duvall. 7Factor's small teams of high-performing engineers build custom mobile apps, APIs, and highly scalable systems for Fortune 500 companies and ambitious startups with great ideas. If you'd like to hire 7Factor, or maybe join their team, contact them through their website at 7factor.io. And don't forget to subscribe to 7Factor's YouTube for every episode of Dev Better.
I'm on the play in round 2, and I can Thoughtseize into Fall. I'm going to keep this. This mana is actually super rough right now, because if I get Badlands, I can't counterspell. And if I get Swamp or Underground Sea, I can't fall. And Rise doesn't do anything unless I have a creature in the graveyard. Maybe I just get Volcanic Island. Or nope, that doesn't cast Thoughtseize. Right. It has to be a black source. I think I'm gonna get... Do I get Basic Swamp? No, I'd like to hold up Counterspell. Alright, I have to risk that they're a Thoughtseize, or that they're a Wasteland deck, and just get Underground Sea. Opponent kept 7. Sees you. Okay. We are Reanimator. Yep, Collective Brutality, Reanimate, Faithless Looting. Brutality can be an enabler, but you need a monster in your hand first. I'm gonna take the Looting. Glad I went with the better mana here. I will not be casting Fall at any point. It's funny that Rise is kind of graveyard hate. You can Rise Grizzlebrand from their graveyard to their hand. And it's card advantage for them, but that's not where they want it. Marsh Flats, Lotus Petal. Another Rise Fall. Disappointing. At least I have Counterspell up. And you can pitch Rise Fall to force a negation. That's pretty good. Getting an end step fetch here. And Rise does require both targets. It's not up to 1. You need 1 in play and 1 in the graveyard for this to be a thing. Verdant Catacombs. I'll counterspell basically anything here. The Faithless Looting on the flashback is a likely play here. They might, if they've drawn a monster, they're going to Brutality me. Yep. Okay. Counterspell this. Trying to keep them squeezed here. If there was a creature in play to bounce, I might have done the Graveyard Hate thing on Risefall. Come on, land. I'm also pretty confident that if they had a monster in hand, they would have Brutality'd me there rather than flashback looting. It's both cheaper and you guarantee the monster in the graveyard, and if it works, you can reanimate right away. A lot of evidence that they're not holding a creature right now. If I draw a red source, I'm going to cast Fall. Okay, I don't have a red source, but I do have 2 answers to a monster now, kinda. There's the Bloodstained Mire. No, what are we doing with 3 mana right now? I don't like this. Yep, they escalated Brutality. They found Atraxa. Atraxa is a bad one to have to Sudden Edict because it works. And I just have to let this resolve. That sucks. Maybe I'm not supposed to fight over Faithless Looting, knowing that they have Brutality in hand, but last turn they didn't have Atraxa in their hand, or they would have just done this. Okay, Atraxa resolves. Oh, that's not the reanimate we saw. They have a second reanimate. This is why you play with matched arts if you can help it. Just free info. Might be able to do the Risefall thing here. They have a Grief, though. Probably not. These are the 5 cards they kept. Archon, Shallow Grave, Polluted Delta, Animate Dead, Unmask, and then we know they have this reanimate still. Targeting me with Unmask. I mean, Atraxa is almost better for me in play. That can't be true. Is that true? I don't think so. And the Unmask, Pitched, Animate Dead. Those are gone. Okay. I will remove the Atraxa and make you put it back in next turn and give myself a chance to draw another removal spell. Or Red Source could knock Shallow Grave and Reanimate out of the hand. I don't feel good about that. It could also hit Archon out of the hand. Hullbreacher. Okay. We are not winning this game. They can put 2 monsters into play next turn. One of them will have haste, and then, etc. We're dead. Surgical's coming in. They could be bringing in Show and Tells, and at least we can hit Atraxa. Hydroblast can hit Faithless Looting. Surgical's for sure, and then a couple of maybes here. Anoint with Affliction. Completely not useful here. None of their creatures are going to meet this criteria, and they'll never have poison. Lightning Bolt, not great. Thoughtseize good, Cantrip's good, Edicts and Discard Spells good. Consume is kind of slow, but it is Graveyard Hate. Forces are good. Fury's alright. K-Command, I guess, is alright. Dack is part of the lock. Might actually need to Days Undoing this opponent. Actually, I think it's the opposite. I don't need to Days Undoing them. They'll either have a monster or they won't. But Days Undoing is also Graveyard Hate, so I will leave that in. Strix is slow for the matchup, but it is a cantrip. It can be put in the way of an Atraxa or something if we get there. It's also... It's blue. I don't really want to Risefall this opponent and have them discard a card. Okay, this is what I'm doing. Okay, my hand contains Surgical Extraction. I'm going to keep it. I have an Edict and an interactive spell. I can fall them and kind of force the issue on Surgical. I actually like that a little bit. When you have Graveyard Hate, shoving the monster in the graveyard against their will might be... Just gonna Swamp Go. I considered playing the Mountain because... Like, they're a Reanimator player, Surgical is going to be on their mind, but if I play Swamp Go, they're going to be wondering what that's about, where a Mountain might send up fewer flags. I don't know. Like, this seems... I can't even really justify why I would do this. Probably a good reason why. A good reason not to do it. Leading on Swamp should tell them I don't have a blue land, though, but if I draw a blue land, I could Brainstorm into Thoughtseize. Spoiler, I am not going to Brainstorm this turn. I am going to fall them. Having the Graveyard Hate gives me some options here. Even if I do hit a monster. Thoughty Voidwalker and land revealed. Okay. I'm ready for Voidwalker. If they don't get something going quickly with the graveyard, I have Shield or Hitotsugu Consumes All that can clear it out turn after next. They played a land I did not see. I love when that happens. Faithless Looting. Not in a position to fight over that. Traxa, Marsh Flats discarded. There goes the flats. And it looks like they're passing. Fine with me. I can force the issue by playing Consume, and then they have to go for it next turn. Ready or not, here I come. Narset, okay. I'm definitely fetching a dual land here. A dual land that makes blue. Do I need double red or double black for this matchup? Double black could cast 2 spells in a turn. I guess I'm getting Underground Sea. Double red is just Fury. Yep. Yeah, Underground Sea and Consume. Suspend 1, deal with the graveyard. Tearing up my heart. List Hitotsugu. There was a Backstreet Boys reference in there somewhere. I just didn't shake it out fast enough. Oh god, they're on show and tell. Dark Ritual resolves. Shallow Grave. Oh, I'm gonna Surgical Atraxa. They get their top creature. Yep, gonna Surgical Atraxa. It feels like they have multiple things here. Yep, Entomb gets a different top creature. Oh, they sequenced this wrong. Oh, no, they didn't. I don't shuffle the graveyard. So they are going to end up with a Grizzlebrand here briefly. And what are the chances we die this turn? Archons animates. Another Grizzlebrand. Okay. Their hand is Marsh Flats, and I don't have a counterspell. F6. They can draw 21 cards this turn. That's a lot. Faithless Looting for actual mana. That means they found something they want to reanimate already. And griefing me. I am officially griefed. Taking Sheoldred's Edict makes sense. They can still attack me for 7 and then draw another 7 cards this turn. If their current 14 somehow aren't good enough. Asking me to. This one will probably take Brainstorm. Yep. And show and tell. Cool. You know I don't have anything to put in. Okay. This game is not winnable. Once again, got through a surgical, outmuscled it with the instant speed Shallow Grave trick. That was pretty cool. Shallow Grave is not stock in Reanimator. By choosing this card, they clearly came up with some situation where they're like, well, what if, in response to graveyard hate, I can entomb another thing? And that's exactly what happened. So they were rewarded for their deck building choices. On to the next round. This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there. On the draw, in round 3, I'm going to keep this hand that has Thoughtseize in it, and a plan to gain card advantage afterwards. Tropical Island Ponder, okay. I am worried about Uro. Always worried about Uro when you're Grixis. That's just the complete nightmare. Minsc and Boo, Staff of the Storyteller. Okay, this Minsc and Boo's a nightmare, but Staff comes online sooner. I think I want to deal with that first, and I'll figure out Minsc and Boo later. I do have 4 Lightning Bolts in my deck, in addition to all my counter spells. Narset will come down before Minsc and Boo will. I don't care about the Swords of Plowshares at all. Just Flooded Strand go, holding on to that Brainstorm. There's an answer to Minsc and Boo. Just play the Volcanic Island. Save this fetch land for future Brainstorm possibilities. There's your Brainstorm possibility. Brainstorm inevitability, I guess. Not really a possibility. We saw it. I expect this Plow to leave. And I didn't just Bowmaster them, so they know I don't have that. That would have been a great spot for Bowmasters. Maybe the thing that I said, maybe Bowmaster is just so friggin' stupid that it should be in any deck that can cast it. Any fair deck. Like, imagine Bowmaster right there. Just, you take 3, I get a 3/3 and a 1/1. Your Minsk and Boo is under pressure. I don't know, there's a lot to like there. Okay, I'm gonna play Narset. I know they have Minsk and Boo, but I have a different blue card to pitch to force. Narset could dig for another one even. Brainstorm in response, go ahead. That would have been a great spot for Hullbreacher, but I'm not gonna not play Narset. Lightning Bolt, Narset, Risefall. Interesting. The Lightning Bolt, unfortunately, I don't have mana up right now. I have to take one of these blue cards, and I think I want the backup Narset. I'm going to force Minsk and Boo pitching Hullbreacher, and hope they don't have force to come back at me here. Okay, force pitching Hullbreacher. They've brainstormed twice. Good chance they got this one all set up. Okay. Minsk and Boo's in the graveyard. That's a relief. Narset, let's start doing stuff. Force of Will, okay. I like that, and I like getting Sorin in here. Sorin the Mirthless making an appearance on the channel. It's been a while. I missed you, buddy. I'm gonna get Underground Sea. I already have double red. I don't need a Badlands here. And let's start getting card advantage. Look at the top card of my library. I can bob it if I want. Yes, I would like to bob it. It's just a land. Free money. They've seen the Force and the Narset. They know I have Force blue card. Burrow that does not draw cards, just gains life. Deal. Still puts lands into play too. That's fine. Okay, looking for an undoing here. I'm going to Sorin first. I would like this blue to Delta, yes. And then brainstorm these million awful cards out of here. There's Days Undoing and Thoughtseize to make sure it works. We did it, Leo. Strung the needle? Strung the thread? Threaded the needle? What am I trying to say here? Okay. Whatever. Whatever I'm trying to say. I'm about to undo their day. Which is kind of funny how medium this is, because they're already hellbent. This is basically just graveyard hate for Uro. And the card they draw might be better than that Misty Rainforest. Yeah, basically just betting against Uro there. Cool, we did it. Ruination and Blood Moon, big hitters for decks like this. Curse of Shaken Faith, I haven't acknowledged yet. This is a card I had never seen before I was sent this list. Enchant player, whenever enchanted player casts a spell other than the first spell they cast each turn, or copies a spell, Curse of Shaken Faith deals 2 damage to them. That's basically for Storm only. Kind of like a weird Maddening Hex, like weird conditional Maddening Hex. And it coming down a turn earlier versus being a generally weaker card than Maddening Hex, this must be for the matchups that are fast and not the ones like we're in now, where I would love a Maddening Hex. Bringing in all these things. I'm going to bring in 1 Surgical out of respect for Uro, but it's not a card I want a bunch of copies of. I think now that I have all this other junk in, the forces can leave, although they were an essential component to last game. Lightning Bolt, good against exactly Minsk and Boo. Consume. I'm going to shave a Consume. Controlling their graveyard matters, but they don't really have 1-drops. They might Carpet of Flowers me, I guess, but that's about it. I don't really want to Risefall an opponent with Uro in their deck either. This is what I'm going to do. Got the 1 land Mystic Sanctuary hand. I'm not keeping this. Oh yeah. I'll keep this one and send the second Hullbreacher to the bottom. This is a hand that can win the game on turn 4 with multiple layers of protection. Alright, Carpet of Flowers immediately. Hitotsugu consumes all. Got the shout out. And now I have a choice. I think I have to Underground Sea, Thoughtseize them. I don't want to get just cheesed out by some BS, but I also need to hit my land drops. Minsk and Boo is the type of BS I don't want to get cheesed out by. But I'm more worried about Staff of the Storyteller. That draws 1 card, then it's gone, but it also pressures Narset in a way I don't like. Yeah, I'm going to take Staff, and then I can Thoughtseize Minsk and Boo next turn. Would very much like to just draw a land, though, for real. Here's Ponder coming off the carpet. Free money. There's that Misty Rainforest, and Ponder did not shuffle. Come on, land. Sudden Edict. Bummer. All right, now I have a hero choice of Ponder. If I hit a black source, that's great. Or I could Thoughtseize this Minskin Boo, be done with that, and then Ponder safely. I think I'd lose immediately and completely if this Minskin Boo resolves, so I'm going to just try to clear that out. Bummer. Okay, well, we didn't have it anyway. Now I have to hope they miss a land drop. And they're unable to play Boo. Ponder, okay. They don't have the land. I get 1 turn of reprieve from Minskin Boo here. Also, if I can just sprint to the end game and Hullbreacher plus Days Undoing, and that might be able to outmuscle a Minskin Boo. If my treasures come up with a removals, like if my Days Undoing comes up with a removal spell, and then I'm able to remove the Minskin Boo. Okay, so just 3 lands here. That is the nuts. 1, 2, 3. Do not shuffle. Play a land that's not an island. And I'm just going to hope that this Minskin, this Hullbreacher thing I just said. Wait, does this line up in the way that I needed to? Probably not. I might have to spend a turn killing Boo. Ugh. Okay, so I go to 13, then I go to 13 now, then I go to 6, then I play Hullbreacher, then I untap and spin. Okay, and it does line up. It loses to any interaction at all. But I think that's where I have to be. Okay. I know one of the pieces of interaction that they have is sorcery speed. I can also just kill the hamster if I want to buy a turn. They are jamming up the hammy. And this is an important decision here. I know my top card is a fetch land. Yeah, I think I'm just going to shove here rather than try to tread water versus Minskin Boo. Though my deck does have... Okay, I'm actually going to Edict them. My deck does have Hydroblast in it, and I can Narset try to spike a Hydroblast here. And at the very least, they'll have to spend some time dealing with Narset. Brainstorm, okay. Staff of the Storyteller, okay. Play my Mire and my Narset. Red Blast, okay. They had it. I could take 5, go to 8 here. And then if I fetch, I'm dead on board. Land remains my best draw here. If I can Anoint with Affliction the Minskin Boo, or the Boo, and then still play Hullbreacher in the same turn, that's really good. Yeah, they're activating Staff right now before Hullbreacher's around. Okay, land, and we still have a chance. Okay. You're saying there's a chance. Minskin Boo trigger, you make the hamster, and then you legend rule the good one. That keeps the staff happy and hungry. The fairy, come on! Alright. Well, in that case, I will kill the hamster now, while I can. And now I have to draw another land. But that doesn't even matter, because then I die to Minskin Boo on their turn. Nope. I'm just going to concede this game. I'm not going to show them that I play Hullbreacher. I don't think they saw it game 1. Okay. Maybe forces have to be in the deck. Am I playing this like if they have Teferi and Minskin Boo in their list, is that some stuff I have to respect? And just play this like resolving Hullbreacher is show and tell? Sudden Edict actually really bad versus a Staff of the Storyteller deck. I'm going to play this more like a combo deck. Rise Falls out. And Fury still good. Consume still fine. Polygon's Command deals damage. Yeah, maybe I just don't play Surgical. Don't respect Uro. Focus on comboing. Okay, I like this hand. It plays lands. It does stuff. Has options. We've seen Spell Pierce in their deck. Guess I gotta watch out for that one. Ponder is not Carpet of Flowers. That's a good start. Volcanic Island. I do like that. And I'm gonna Brainstorm now. I could hit Thoughtseize here, and that's a spell worth casting. There's a Breacher. If I put back Anoint and Edict, I can decide if I want either of those cards. I can play Baleful Strix next turn or hold up Hullbreacher. Carpet, that's free. And they still have 2 mana in the second main. They did not use. I don't think, or this is the edict that can remove Planeswalkers. I'll keep it. And then I'll just play Mountain and pass. Pretty into the idea of breaching their hall. And edict can clear Minsk and Boo to Fairy. Okay. Well, Kolaghan's Command, I could just make them discard a card. I don't think that's good, though. I'm going to let Teferi resolve and hope that they plus it rather than minus. Because if I put in Hullbreacher, they just minus, and they know I have Hullbreacher, and they get their card for free. And they had the option to just draw the card anyway, but then now they're in Kolaghan's Command range. Right, Anoint with Affliction was on top. I knew that. I didn't really want that, but I ended up with it anyway. I can double spell if I Edict instead of Strix, or I could just play Strix. I could also just shove Sorin right now. That does not beat Minsk and Boo, though. Okay, I'm going to Kolaghan's Command. This could put Uro in the graveyard. This could just get Spell Pierced. But I need to start pressuring Teferi. And I want to do it in a way that still respects Minsk and Boo. They're just fetching immediately. Spell Pierce. Alright, Hydroblast. I feel less bad about that one. The very bad news now is that if they have Minsk and Boo, they know it's going to resolve because it's a fairy, and they're insulated against my stupid edict because they have 2 planeswalkers. Yep. Why would my opponent ever not have exactly the card that kills me? Okay, what do I need now? I need a Hydroblast? Fucking deck. I guess it doesn't matter because Teferi's in play, but alright. Each opponent sacrifices a planeswalker. Let's start there. Yeah, I know you have 2 of them. Whatever. Wow, they're even forcing that. They're just like not even giving you that. They pitched Spell Pierce to force, though. They had that one, too. Okay, I'm going to fetch Underground Sea and play Baleful Strix. I am definitely losing this game, but I'm going to try to make a fight out of it wherever I can. Lightning Bolt, okay. I can Bolt to Fairy and then exile Boo. Fairy plus. Oh wow, they're just going for draw 4 middle finger mode. Fair enough. Killing my Strix, drawing 7. Now I can Bolt Minsk and Boo. But also they just have 7 cards in their hand. But the pressure's kind of off, at least temporarily. I'll take it. Hard to turn down a draw 4 in this control mirror. Staff of the Storyteller. Wasteland. Stop. I'm already dead. Now I can't even draw a second Lightning Bolt and try to pressure Teferi and then Minsk and Boo. Narset. Well, I'm going to Bolt Minsk and Boo and just cross my fingers that it resolves somehow against their 5 cards in hand. And could be 6 if they fetch. They could even just have a second Minsk and Boo at this point. Here's the thing about Magic the Gathering. The mana system is what determines a lot of what your deck's able to do. And I'm a 3-color deck, and they're a 4-color deck. And I do have a couple of cards in my list that can punish the fact that I have fewer colors than them, and that they have a greedy mana base. But also, they can just cast their good spells because I'm an 8-card deck, and I can't find the Blood Moon reliably. And while I was talking, they just put Hydroblast on the top of their deck, and I cannot win this game anymore. Yeah, absolutely kicked. Teferi, game ender both games. Minsk and Boo turns the corner so fast. And, I mean, we have bolts and Hydroblast and stuff. I even brought in all my forces for game 3, and not even close to good enough.
The Command Tower software by Eminence Gaming is perfect for hosting TCG events. It features easy-to-create event registration for 1v1 and 4-player Swiss structured tournaments. Event management has never been so simple, and it's web-based, so there's no download required. Get access for just $5 at eminence.events/subscribe.
I'm on the play in round 4 in a noodle mirror of some kind. And I'm going to keep this Island Ponder hand. Decks that contain Yorion, other than this one, because I doubt this is the mirror match. It's most likely the Blue Zenith pile. Oh my god, my opponent is playing 82. 75 cards in their deck and 7 cards in their hand. They've gone above and beyond. The Blue Zenith deck and the Death and Taxes are both decks with Wasteland. And I'm going to fetch Basic Island and hope this Ponder just shows me 3 lands. Or 0 lands. I'll shuffle this up because it's not 3 lands. Hullbreacher, and we're immediately in trouble. Gotta draw a land, preferably one that makes black, but I will not be greedy if they want to give me Basic Mountain. Yep, the Zenith deck confirmed. Come on, Black Source. Oh my god. Okay, I have missed my land drop. I have 2 forces. They had the Wasteland. I was right to play around that. Still feels bad, though. Oh, good. They're immediately going into Uro space. Remember how I started this video by saying that I 5-0'd with this deck? I feel like we're going to be fending off a reverse trophy in short order here. The universe balancing itself. Me, Island Ponder, miss your land drop, versus Birds of Paradise into Uro, pass the turn with 4 mana available. Cool. My deck is very funny. It thinks it's funny. Don't tell it that it is. And I do have Hullbreacher, Days Undoing, and 2 forces in my hand. So if there's a world where I get to 3 mana, I might be able to shove this combo down their throat and actually win the game somehow. Don't feel good about it, but it's possible. Oh, Questy boy. Fury kills this. I think I have to save my forces for things that don't die to Fury, like this Uro in the graveyard. Obviously, this is a risk, and I might just freaking die without doing anything, but that was already gonna happen. Oh my god. Blue to Delta. And I think I have to get Swamp. Baleful Strix, draw me a red card. Baleful Strix, draw me a red card. Fury. And deal 4 to Questing Beast. Okay, and we have achieved something resembling stability. Uro's still in the graveyard. If I draw the land next turn, Days Undoing is live. Green, green, blue, blue. I'm going to force pitching counterspell on Uro. Yeah, I don't have the space to let this thing function. And putting it back in the graveyard for a while slows it down enough. Hitsugu consumes all. Not what I'm looking for. Ramanab Excavator. Okay. I mean, their land count is not what I'm losing to here. And it is an important axis of the game, but this is not where I can afford to spend a Force of Will. I drew a land, and it's even basic, just in case. Options here include play Hitsugu. I think I'm going to play the Hitsugu, consumes all. This kills Birds of Paradise, deals with the Uro permanently, and it might be scary enough to draw out an interactive spell, which, if that is true, I'll have time to figure out where the rest of my game plan is going. Fetching in the end step. Snow Forest. Okay. And the audacity of these 4-color control decks to still pretend they can play Ice-Fang Quaddle effectively. Ridiculous. 1, 2, 3, 4 cards in the graveyard. Fetch land. That's the fetch land from the graveyard. That one will not activate Uro. Can't really attack here. And then Consume is going to chew up this Uro, and we are kind of stable. I'd love to draw a blue card here. No such luck. I'm going to play Volcanic Island, and my options are shove Hullbreacher and protect it with Force of Will, or spend the turn putting Yorion in my hand, and then I have something I can pitch to Force of Will. I'm going to do that. At this point, the pressure's off, and this game is about making the Hullbreacher Days Undoing happen, and it's not necessarily about doing it quickly. Yep, Ice-Fang Quaddle. There it is. Another Ice-Fang Quaddle. They do have Death Touch. They figured it out. Ponder. My opponent has drawn 3 extra cards since the last time I decided not to cast Hullbreacher. We'll see if I get rewarded for my patience, or if I'm just being a fool. I'm going to take 2 from the Quaddles. I don't want to let Ramanep start getting in. I guess I'm about to have a 3-3. Maybe I should have traded off there. Birds of Paradise. Okay. And Yorion's in their hand. That's a lot of squawking. Narset is okay. I'm just going to pass the turn, though. Hope that they go for a big Yorion, Flickering, Ice Fang Quaddle. There's a Swords of Plowshares used on something that's not Hullbreacher. Count it. This is where we start to see if my patience paid off or if their hand is just so rolled up that it doesn't matter. They've been making all their land drops from the graveyard. There could be any number of lands in that hand. We have no way to really know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the pool. Yorion resolves. Flickered those Ice Fang Quaddles. Okay, flickered everything. End step. These things come back. And in response to these triggers, I'm going to Hullbreacher. It's time. Time to figure out if this worked. Resolves. Oh my god, they have nothing. And I have 2 treasures now. That lets me insulate with Narset. Okay, so if I play my land, fetch, I can Narset and Days Undoing here. Narset, they're casting some spell in response. Force of Negation. That's fine. That was bait anyway. Here comes the Days Undoing. And their board is still insane, but I'm going to have 7 cards and treasures to their nothing. Anoint with Affliction. I ended up with Yorion and Force still in my hand. In the same order that they left my hand in. Weird. Okay, your attacks aren't that good. Baleful Strix is busted. So they're doing something. Plowing Baleful Strix. That's their one card that they have. If I Force of Will this, I can trade with Yorion. And then Sorin can put lifelink creatures in front of their other stuff. Yeah, I'm going to hardcast Force. Force that. Block, take the real pressure off. Patience rewarded, though. We're suddenly playing from ahead after getting pummeled in the early turns of this game. Sudden Edict. Not good here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana available. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. I'll start with Narset. Oh, they're scooping to the Narset. Okay. Took the time to set up, use your life total as a resource. Feel good about that game. They do play basic lands, but they also play a lot of non-basic ones. I think I do want the Blood Moon angle. Plague Engineer on Snake actually cuts off a big part of their deck. Red Elemental Blast. Once again, Risefall versus an Uro deck. Sudden Edict should probably come out against the Birds of Paradise deck. Not great. Risefall can chill. Force of Negation, probably not where I want to be. I do want to keep Force of Will, though. And Lightning Bolt answered a Minsc and Boo. We did see red mana in their deck. Days Undoing is how I win games. Dack's fine, Shoulder's Edict's fine. Anoint's good against Uro. Consume can sweep up Abundant Growths and Carpet of Flowers, both of which I expect to be in their deck. Maybe it's Kolaghan's Command, or the last... I guess it's just the last Risefall. Okay. I'll do that. My hand looks pretty good. I'm going to keep it. Interactive spells, Brainstorm. I can find Hullbreacher, or I can find the land for Hullbreacher. Fury is solid against what they're doing in general. Carpet of Flowers, okay. I will play Scalding Tarn and ignore this card for a turn. Bummer. I would have liked to cast that Ponder, but I think that time walking them for a turn is worth doing. Abundant Growth, okay. Very much interested in a Hidetsugu Consumes All at this point. And Zenith for 0, okay. Safe to say they have mana advantage. Counterspell, interesting. Yeah, I think I just want to play this island and pass the turn with Counterspell up. I have the option of Brainstorm, then cast Red Blast if that's right, and I can just fetch some island and Counterspell if that's right. Uro, that just happens. There's no fight to be had in this deck against the front half of an Uro. Okay, end step Brainstorm. Lands and Strixes, okay. I can put back this Childred's Edict and Polluted Delta, and then I can redraw the land. I actually think that's good. Redraw the land, Bloodstained Mire, Fetch, Swamp. I can play Strix, or I can hang out on this Hullbreacher. No, I think I want to play Strix and leave up Red Blast. That's better than Hullbreacher. Just an unprotected Hullbreacher, no thanks. And they might just go for Uro this turn. If they fetch, ponder, or whatever, suddenly have 5 cards in their graveyard. There's a Brainstorm. Cracking a fetch, that's 3 cards. The other fetch would be 4. If they can get... Yep, okay, so they can ponder and then play Uro here. Which is why I left up Red Blast. They would have to Force of Will to get this Uro through. And that's a force they don't have for my Hullbreacher. That's coming down next. And I am going to fetch basics. I have Ruination and Blood Moon in my deck. I'll respect them for a little bit. That turn cycle went pretty well. Ponder. Thoughtseize is interesting. Thoughtseize and another Ponder. Okay. I am not going to shuffle. I am interested in Thoughtseize. I can hardcast Fury next turn. I'd like to know what's going on over here, though. Swords to Plowshares, Force Brainstorm. I'm going to take the Brainstorm and just put them into stupid mode. They're reaching for Yorion, that makes sense. I took away all their ability to do anything else. I'm going to have to start playing into this carpet a bit. I need more mana to play my spells now. Fetch Underground Sea. Kolagon's Command. I like that one. Play this Badlands. If I play Volcanic Island, I can counterspell protecting my Hullbreacher. I could also play Kolagon's Command and use counterspell to protect it. I'm not going to get my Yorion. I got stuff to do with my mana. I could K Command now, kill Dryad Arbor, make them discard a card. Kinda like that. Target player discards, deal 2 to something. I just hope they didn't draw exactly Veil of Summer. The one card I don't know about in their hand. Can't be that. God, they did something. Oh no, it's the Force. That's fine. This is interesting, because if I counterspell now, then they have to lose 2 cards again, but no, this was fine. This was... Getting Force Negation out of their hand is about as good as I can hope for that. And this just functionally time walk them. If I play Fury, they can plow it. I'm going to grab Yorion and hold up Counterspell. They're just not pressuring me, and their hand is full of answers, so I'm going to try to just play the long, patient game again. Same thing that worked in game 1. A Hidetsugu Consumes All remains an incredible card to draw, if I can find one. Evolved, yuck. Well, I'm going to counterspell that. Not a card I really want to play against here. They would have to pitch cast Force. They're 1 mana short of hard casting it. Or they could have Pyroblast in their hand, that's fair. Okay. At least I have the Fury here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not enough to do everything I want. But I can at least cast the Fury. Do they want to spend Force of Will on this and lose the Yorion? They did not. I'm just dealing 4 to Leovold. I could split it onto Dryad Arbor, but I don't think Dryad Arbor is worth a random card right now. They have tons of mana. This creature is irrelevant. Okay, I'll start attacking now. Strix has been chilling out here for a very long time. I'm going to ponder in the second main. Lightning Bolt, Force of Will, Prismari Command. Do I care about Force of Will? I will eventually. Okay, I'll take this Force now. And Fury's scary enough that it might be worth this plow that I've been trying to flush out forever. Yep, that's gone. They have a Ponder. Good card to find here. They can play Uro this turn. I probably would. But there's 5 mana in the pool. Yeah, I don't care about Yorion at all. Yeah, Yorion's gone. Just really glad Uro didn't go on the stack this turn. My top card is Prismari Command. Does that even do anything? It's blue for force at the very least. Yeah, I'll take the command. I don't want the lightning bolt that's under it though. I could play my Yorion and flicker Baleful Strix here, but Uro is looming, and I've worked so hard to get this Hullbreacher active. They've reached the point where they can hardcast force. Okay, I'll play my Hullbreacher, and I'm prepared to defend it with Force of Will if I need to. So they had another plow. I hate that. Okay, I could respond with Prismari command targeting them. They would discard 2 cards. I get 2 treasures. Is that even good? That does let me force. No, it doesn't. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Yeah. I have to spend the money on, or the mana on the command. I don't just get to play it. The treasures won't cast force. We'll make them discard 2 cards. Guess it's possible they don't have a blue card. Alright, I'm gonna force pitching Yorion. I guess if I had commanded first, they would have had to discard 2 cards. Now I could get them empty. Target player draws 2, then discards 2. Draws 2, discards 2, and deals 2 to any target. I'll deal 2 to Dryad Arbor and get your hand empty. Not that this is much comfort versus Uro. Nissa Resurgent. That's spicy. Cool card. Okay. I'm losing Hullbreacher. I'm gonna fetch. This Bloodstained Mire does not get Mystic Sanctuary. Okay, I probably want to draw Nissa, and then Nissa needs to find Days Undoing. That's how I still win this game. Okay. Their Uro draw was another Uro. You might as well. Jeez, this Moto bug is killing me. I just shuffled that card away. I'm not a shuffle truther, but in moments like this where I needed something else, and I specifically shuffled away this card that's a 4 of in my 56 card deck and it showed back up, I am suspicious. Okay, Strix has to block Uro, who can just come back, and it sucks, but I gotta start working on this somehow. Narset into Undoing is still live. It's always live. Oh, are they just zenithing for Atraxa right now? They're ignoring Uro and just doing something bigger. Cool. Zenith for 7, you did it. Show me more of that deck. Questing Beast, we knew that. Caracas, Blue Elemental Blast, Life from the Loam. Got it. Caracas, which can bounce, refire Atraxa, and Yorion and Uro. I'm going to Mystic Sanctuary target Ponder. I don't think I'm winning this game, but I am going to play it out. The clock is also a thing. I just drifted ahead of my opponent on clock, and let's see how that plays out for me. There's Questing Beast. There's a lot of legends in this deck for them to have multiple copies of Birds of Paradise. Delighted Halfling is probably great. Oh, got me for Xaxes. Nice. Good clock management there. But yeah, Delighted Halfling, probably better in that deck than Birds of Paradise is, though I haven't seen the whole deck. Rise Fall, back as an option. Rise is really good for grinding. Don't really want to fall an Uro deck. Is anything worse here? Maybe Blood Moon sucks, and I should just play towards Ruination. If I'm going to have any of this, maybe I just don't want any of that because they showed me Carpet of Flowers, Abundant Growth, and basic lands. Okay, I'll bring some Rise Falls back. Another one-lander. I'm not going to live in fear of Island Bonder. This is a way of life. And just because it didn't work last game doesn't mean you can't do it. I can do it, and I will. I am not going to respect Wasteland. I'm going to respect the fact that my hand has Lightning Bolt in it. Cool. All right. We've got choices here. I'm going to stack it so the Brainstorm's on top. I get the Underground Sea now. They're a deck with mana dorks, which is why I wanted to respect the Lightning Bolt, and I pondered into 2 black sources and a blue source. Glad I went for red. Carpet of Flowers, disappointing. I wanted that to be Birds of Paradise so bad. Could still be. It's not. Well, I can play a second island directly into this Days Undoing, which I guess is where I am because I'm not about to just fire off a Brainstorm to stop them from getting 1 mana. My hand's full of interactive spells. Let's just bet against their mana advantage. Because to get the mana advantage on Carpet, I've talked about this on the channel before. To get the mana advantage on Carpet, you have to spend a card, and then it supercharges the rest of your hand, but I'm up 1 card on the interaction count on like raw cards, and if you run them out of cards, then the extra mana doesn't matter. Life from the Loam, okay. They have Loam going. They find a Wasteland, I am effed, but they don't have one currently. Do I want to Brainstorm now? That seems pretty mid. Okay, I'm not going to Brainstorm now. I can Brainstorm now. Yeah, I'm going to go now. I would like to have land number 4 lined up. But there's Consume. That's actually really good. I don't get to line up land number 4. But these 2 Lightning Bolts can kick rocks. And then I'll play Baleful Strix to try to work my way through this. Knowing they have Loam going makes it worse, but at least the Consume clears the Carpet and threatens the Loam on the next turn. The Zenith, this is probably going to get Leovold, who I can exile. Oh, I also am holding Lightning Bolt. Fine, get your Leovold. Yeah, I can play Consume. I have Baleful Strix that's in front of Leovold right now. I have 3 answers to Leo in my hand. I'm not going to spend my Force of Will on that. My precious Force of Will. Consume kills Carpet, and Baleful Strix is in front of Leo. Let's see if they have to dredge Loam here. Just like dredging Loam into Consume, just trying to hit your land drops. Loam hit 3 lands right away. Sure, okay. They're not going to miss land drops this game, but I am going to get to eat up their Loam and break up this engine. They still didn't come up with a Wasteland. A Ponder can be used to dredge Loam and protect Loam from Consume, but then whatever you mill here gets consumed. I would just accept that Loam drew 3 cards this game and be happy with it. That appears to be what they decided as well. Okay, so I get to draw first. See if I find land number 4 for Sorin. I did not. I would like Leovold out of the game. I'm going to bolt it now while Exile All Graveyards is on the stack. That way, if they fight over this too, anything that ends up in the graveyard, Hydroblast, whatever, will be exiled. Force of Negation. Pitching Uro. I'm going to anoint Leovold with Affliction. Really wish I had another red source here to bolt with. And they get to draw all these cards. That all sucks, but all of this is stuff that's going to end up exiled. Fetching Taiga. Do you have Veil of Summer? That would suck. Okay, nope. Leovold's in exile. So is all the graveyards. And I've come up with a 3rd Lightning Bolt. Heck yeah. We are both exactly at 7:40 on the clock. All the angles covered. This has been a great match. Whatever ends up happening. An absolute delight. A pair of Abundant Growths after my Consume. Yorion can still flicker that someday, and I have 1 other one in my deck. Oh no, they found Wasteland. I'm glad that Loam is gone. Jeez. That sucks though. And we know Ramanap Excavator's in their deck somewhere. Okay, immediately found land number 4, which I am stoked for. So it's the turn after I could have resolved Sorin. But Yorion in my hand immediately. Now I have easy money to pitch to Force of Will, and I get to keep my Days Undoing. They have a Coatl to trade with Strix, that's fine. My Vessel of the All-Consuming is looming. Ramanap Excavator, here's this jerk. Actually can't beat this card right now. Please don't have Pyroblast. Okay. The Excavator's in the graveyard. And they're casting a Brainstorm. They have a land drop. And they're fetching. Am I losing my Vessel right away? No, Ponder. Okay, we're digging. Vessel's going to get to connect at least once. Did not shuffle the Ponder. Come on, land. Let's get Sorin in. Not the land. Ponder. There is the land and Hullbreacher. Play the land. Get my attack through. I have a real choice here, which is I could cast Days Undoing, which They have 6 cards in their hand to my 4. They are an Uro deck, but they don't currently have Uro in the graveyard. I am not going to Days Undoing here, though just a fair Time Twister is a reasonable thing here, I think. If there was an Uro in the graveyard, I would have done it. Nissa, Resurgent Animist. Gonna have to read this one. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, add 1 mana of any color. Then it's the second time. This is resolved this turn. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal an elf or elemental. Put that card into your hand. Okay. So you get a mana here. I'm gonna bolt this thing in response to the fetch. That's my counterplay here. That will stop 1 mana from showing up and will stop them from tutoring an elemental. Okay, I hope they're 1 short of what they wanted to do this turn. Lightning Bolt finally paying out. Zenith for 3, okay. We've already been through Leovold and Ramanap. What's left in here? Oh yeah, Uro, duh. Right, Uro. Titan of Nature's Wrath, was it? Got it. You know, the card that we were just talking about? Okay, I'm gonna attack with Vessel. Now I have Hullbreacher available. Do I want to try to breach this Uro, or do I just want to Days Undoing now? Reset us both. I think I'm going to pass and hold on to the Hullbreacher. This Sorin has been desperately waiting for 4 mana all game, and now I have it, and he's not even the right play. They have 5 cards in their hand on top of this Uro. Don't like that. Here's Uro. Gonna play the Hullbreacher. They got a grip full of cards. So none of them are Swords to Plowshares. Easy Swords to Plowshares. Built. Uro's in. Vessel is only 5/5, not big enough to tangle with Uro yet. Here's this Ponder I knew about. Let's find Anoint with Affliction or Red Blast. Okay, there's a Red Blast. Red Blast the Uro. Hope it works. Okay. We've connected. I'm going to attack with Vessel. I know Coatl can kill it here, but they haven't indicated they had a Coatl yet. Alright, we are connecting again. Vessel's up to 6/6. Big enough to rumble with Uro. I'm a full minute ahead on my clock now. Starting to pull ahead on all the important metrics. Oh, Omnath Locus of Creation. Never mind. I'm now behind on some important metrics. So this fetch will gain them 4 life. And if they have another fetch land, they can play Uro and deal 4 to me. Carpet, okay. That also plays Uro. They have exactly enough in the graveyard to work that. I have a land on top of my deck right now. Here's Uro. Drawing my card. I'm gonna attack and hope they trade. Okay, trading off the Uro. And I think I'd rather Sorin here. I can make a lifelink vampire and just put that in front of Omnath. And with Bolt, I can finish it off if the Omnath attacks into this. Prismatic Ending. Okay, that's gone. And so is Sorin. They have so much mana. Zenith for Atraxa is probably good enough here. There's Atraxa. Endurance, Grist, Prismatic Ending, Swords of Plowshare, Pyroblast. Yikes. Force of Will. They can't choose wrong here. Back to Sorin. My top card is Fury. That doesn't help me here. They haven't even reached for their Yorion yet. They still just have that available. Fetching Badlands and hope to draw Red Blast to punch through Force of Will. Okay, Thoughtseize. Yeah, oh. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to play to the clock here. They got me. If I could have punched through Days Undoing, I might have spun it around and gone for it, but not like this. That was a great match at least, but again, just having 4 colors and better spells won them the game. For the absolute best Magic the Gathering apparel on the market, check out the link in the video description to coalesceapparel.shop and be sure to use the code BoshNRoll for 10% off when you check out. I'm on the draw in the final round against Grindstone Cowboy, who last time I played them, they actually were on Painter, living up to their name. Their memorable name, which I still love. Great name, Grindstone Cowboy. And this hand with Prismari Command and Lightning Bolt in it, pretty good against Painter. I'm going to play the Misty Rainforest and pass. I can bolt any goblin nonsense that comes into play here. I can bolt a Painter. We can also just play Drago forever. I think I want to fall them. Fetch Underground Sea. It is not a blue spell if you cast the Rakdos side. Let's hit 2 good ones, please. Hit 2 lands. Yeah, good freaking card. Hymn to Tarak is legal in this format. You know, I said all the cool things that Risefall does, but also Hymn to Tarak, just, you know, it's here if you want it. Oh god, Wasteland. Okay. I think I knew that. They're on some weird middle range painter prison thing. I think I did know that Wasteland was in this deck. Not consciously, obviously, or I would have played differently, but now that it's happened, I remember this from last time. Hey, deck, how about that land? Oh my god. Alright. And getting Wastelanded off land 3, that's one thing, but having Risefall miss completely and then getting Wastelanded off land 3, it's a lot to process. I'm having a tough time this league. Behind in a game, fending off the reverse trophy with a fair blue control deck. It's tough. Ensnaring Bridge, I don't care about that. Hey deck, how about that land? How about it? Oh my god, we did it. Okay, I'm not just going to shove Dack into Pyroblast. I have a bunch of interaction up here. Sunbay Canyon, I hope they activate it right now. Karn, the Great Creator. I have Lightning Bolt that can finish Karn off if they get risky with them, but I think I should commit a Force of Negation to the cause. What am I going to pitch, though? All my cards are good. Hullbreacher is probably the worst one here. Hullbreacher is great with Dack, but I think it's the softest against everything that their deck does. Okay, I'm going to pitch Hullbreacher. I think this is going to get Pyroblasted, and it just doesn't matter. But I'm trying to draw that out. Okay, and then I'll go for an end step. Prismari Command. And I'm just fetching non-basics here. I'm already exposed to Wasteland. It's going to take me off 3 mana no matter what. Might as well make my mana good. Prismari Command. Destroy the Ensnaring Bridge, and I would like to make a treasure. I want to make sure Sorin can come in next turn. I need an engine. There's the Pyroblast. I could just draw a land, naturally. It could happen. We did it. Dack, not helpful here. I'm going for Sorin. Underground Sea. Sorin. I'm going to plus him right away. Make sure he doesn't get bolted or furied. Yes, I would like this Sudden Edict in my hand. In there, it's turn 6. If they just go Painter, Grindstone, activate, I lose. There's a Saga. Soul Guide Lantern. Okay. That one's fine. Popping Lantern to draw a card right away. Emergency Meeting. What is Sorin's ultimate? 13 something and I gain 13? Sweet. We got a win condition. Plus Sorin. I would like the Bloodstained Mire, yes. Play that. And I'd rather leave up this wall of interaction than try to get Dack gain against the Pyroblast deck or reach for Yorion or whatever. Their own Ensnaring Bridge will cause problems for Construct Beatdown strat. They're making a Construct right now. Goblin Engineer. Okay, that's why they did that. Makes sense. Discarding Painter or Entombing Painter, whatever we're calling that. And Lightning Bolt, or I could Prismari Command also. Command's really good though. I'm gonna Bolt. Draw for turn, Force of Will, plus Sorin. Just keep the cards coming. Anoint with Affliction. Yes, I would like this card. And how about Dack Fayden? I think it's time to put this one on the stack. I would like this Construct token. I'm just on the Defend Sorin forever plan. Drawing a card. I don't have Hullbreacher to punish that. Gonna fetch. If they get Needle, it's gonna name Sorin, probably not my lands, but I'm still gonna fetch in response. Grindstone is in play now. Fury is on the stack. This kills Dack and my 1/1 and puts damage on Sorin. Bummer. I think I have to force this. If we're just on Protect Sorin plan, which is the plan I'm on, then that is a force of will. I'd love to draw a Hullbreacher now or Narset and start beating up their hand. Strix, I'll start there. Blue, black. Leaving up a bunch of black because I have all this black removal in my hand. And there's even more of it. Plus Sorin again. I'll put this mountain in my hand. Then target myself with Dack. Blue away. Mountain, blue to Delta. Keep the spells. I don't have a good attack here, so I'm not going to make one. Sorin can start biting next turn. I don't even know if that's good, but it's there. If they tap that Ancient Tomb again, it's pretty good. A second Grindstone. So they play Painter, then holding priority, activate Grindstone twice. Does that even work? I don't think so. I'm going to Anoint with Affliction the Construct in response. Yeah, this doesn't work. Yeah. They need 2 Painters, I guess, is what actually needs to happen. If their other last card in hand is Painter, I think they win. Yeah, Sudden Edict has Split Second. Can't activate Grindstone again in response to that. That works against normal removal, but not this one. Okay, then I mill some amount of cards. Narset Island to get milled. They have 1 card in their hand. I can attack them to 14. Hullbreacher, what's up? Okay, I'm going to attack them first. Get my 1 point in where I can still do that. And then Hullbreacher can make them Hellbent, and then Sorin can put them to 1. Hullbreacher. Dack, target you. You draw 2, but you can't draw any, and then you have to discard 2. And this gives me mana for Force of Will, and then I'm going to do the Sorin Bite, put you to 1. I've just never done that before. I don't even know if that's right to do here, but I'm in for it. Now I have to find a Lightning Bolt to finish the game out, or get Sorin back up to 7. Or my Kolaghan's Command to kill Ensnaring Bridge. Fury, do I care about this anymore? It kills Sorin and Dack, and then I keep all of my creatures. And this is tough because... Alright, I have to let this resolve. I'm holding Force of Will, and they're holding the I win button in play in the Grindstones. So yeah, my Planeswalker's just gotta go here. And I gotta dig for an answer to Ensnaring Bridge. Mystic Sanctuary does it, because there's Prismari Commands in the graveyard. Blue-black, Baleful Strix. Fury of my own that I can't cast. Their Ensnaring Bridge means that they can't attack anyway. I'm just holding up Force. Karn the Great Creator. I have to assume that can turn into a Painter's Servant. We are in the drawing bangers phase of the game. And they have I win buttons. I also have I win buttons. That's not one of them. Put Yorion in my hand and pass the turn, I guess. Please don't draw a Painter. I've done so much work. Okay, Great Furnace was the play. Okay, they're slow grinding me. That's actually really smart. Might as well. It is a win condition of sorts. Second Hullbreacher is not what I wanted. I would like to draw 2 new cards and dig here. My Strix is draw Risefall and Brainstorm. Okay. I can Rise their Fury and then attack with my Strixes. Now that, yeah, leaving a creature in play means that Rise is live. They left a card in their hand, though. Just milling me. If they... Okay, this card in their hand is a concern. What would even be? Pyroblast? Okay, I'm going to cast Rise. Targeting Baleful Strix and Fury. Blue-black. Yeah, Pyroblast, that makes sense. And then Brainstorm. Brainstorm found Ponder and Narset. Get rid of Thoughtseize for sure. I don't need another Hullbreacher. I would like to ponder now to shuffle my deck. I'll shuffle away that other ponder. That's just spending mana to see most of the same cards again. And I can brainstorm again and then still maybe cast Narset. Alright, I'm going to take the brainstorm. Lightning Bolt, okay, GG. That was a lot of work, but we did it. Bang. Sweet game involving a Sorin ultimate. Not interested in a single vampire. Plus, bite ya. Hydroblast, Pyroblast, or Hydroblast, Blue Blast, Energy Flux for sure. They showed me some techie lands, including Urza Saga. Maybe Blood Moon actually is reasonable here. Surgical, they do go through their graveyard for some of the stuff. Force the negation out. Lightning Bolt's good. Thoughtseize is bad in those top deck wars, but it's good to set things up. Hitotsugu Consumes All is great against Urza Saga. Rise Fall. Maybe I'm being a donkey, but casting that fall and seeing 2 lands just has me off it real hard. I like the ability to combo. Strix always value. The various commands are coming into play here, finally. Sudden Edict actually was a huge player in that game, being specifically Sudden Edict and not something else. This isn't a deck that draws a lot of cards on their own. But I think Hullbreacher and Baleful Strix I can back off on and play it like this. I love Consume. I like these ponders. I'm going to keep. Gotta watch out for their wastelands that I'm now consciously aware of. Bloodstained Mire is a great draw. That's access to basic swamp. Island Ponder. Strix, dope. Okay. I'm not going to shuffle. I think I just stacked that wrong, though. Now I'm going to draw Narset instead of Underground Sea, and I have to shuffle away the third card if I'm going to play the Strix. Yeah, I would have rather had the land. Sunbaked Canyon from my opponent. I'm still going to commit to my Strix world. They're on this slow, steady grind over there. We saw their deck has some scary top end in it. Gotta respect it, but still, I'm going to develop while they're not threatening a Painter combo. It's time for some movement. Gotta fetch land. My god, deck, please draw Blood Moon. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. I'll still take Blood Moon, even in the face of this goblin. Not too proud. Okay, I can fetch another basic island here, drop out Narset. That's actually a sick one ahead of the Fable turn. I mean, their deck is full of Red Blasts and probably Lightning Bolts. I imagine they can figure out how to navigate a Narset, but still, make them do it. Force and 3 lands were the Narset picks. Yeah, I'll take a Force here. And I am prepared to pitch Ponder to try to make this Narset stay in play, because if they don't kill Narset before Fable does stuff, then Days Undoing is likely to work. Is that reasonable to believe? Yeah, they just declined their Fable trigger. I know this league has been rough, but curving Baleful Strix into Narset, wow, is that my kind of magic. And I have this Consume floating in my hand as well. If they try to let Urza Saga run its course, Consume cleans up after that like a boss. They're making their attack. I'm making my block. Surgical extracting my Strixes. Yeah, go ahead. Have a look. This is what my hand is. Goblin Welder. Okay. Resolves. Play out some more creatures. Give them to me. Soul Guide Lantern. Sure. That does not currently draw an extra card. Grindstone's in play. Okay. They could tutor Grindstone with Saga next turn anyway. That doesn't change anything I would have done. Now is there a clever juke? Like, they saw my hand and they're like, I'm getting my day undone. Should I just consume all instead now? And then keep this handful of gas after they dumped out all their junk? Kinda like it. I'm gonna activate Narset first. This shows them I'm not gonna Days Undoing this turn. Hydroblast, what's up? Okay, I'll take Hydroblast and then play Volcanic Island and consume all. Tapping out of the Saga like this, I don't have to worry about a creature clapping back. They're drawing some cards in response, using their treasure. They lose Grindstone, they lose Welder. I can kill the Fable at whim, basically. Still have Narset in play. This is the feeling you want with this deck after After all those rough games, I have 8 cards in my hand, functionally, including the Yorion, a lock piece in play, a thing that's about to pressure them, and I have Kolaghan's Command versus Artifact deck. I could have Days Undoing last turn, and it wasn't even the best thing to do. Okay, they're making a move. Shooted up Lotus Petal. Fable flips. Land from hand, 2 cards left. They know I have Hydroblast and Force of Will. Are in the Great Greater, okay. I'm gonna Force of Will that. Exiling this Ponder. And even if their last card in hand is Hydroblast or Pyroblast, I still got it covered. I'm gonna Hydroblast this Reflection in the end step. And I could Days Undoing. Still not convinced it's the best thing to do. So they have 1 card in their hand. I could destroy Great Furnace and make them discard. I should have done this in response to Consume. Now these are 2 graveyard resources I didn't need to let them have. But I'm going for full misery mode here. They do have 4 mana. If they rip Karn, that's a good draw. They just played Great Furnace. Flip my Consume. Dack Fayden. Gonna take their Great Furnace. They're drawing a card with Sunbaked Canyon, which is another land down. Now they're down to 3 mana. There's nothing in their graveyard worth surgicaling, and I'm not going to surgical just to look at their hand. Not that I can do anything with that information. Goblin Engineer. Glad I held on to this surgical. They've discarded a Painter. Now I can do the Dack Narset trick, target you. You draw 1 card, then you have to discard 2, thus making you Hellbent. Got the GGs. Okay, fended off the reverse trophy. Okay, this deck. After the first 2 rounds, I was like, well, Bowmasters is tough for the deck, and then Reanimator combo is probably not ideal either. Let's get into some fair matchups. And then we lost back-to-back rounds to Uro decks, which are fair matchups. And kinda makes me wonder what the home for this deck still is. Historically, you were just really good against Delver. And I'm talking about Grixis in general. Yorion Grixis is a different fold that I'm less familiar with. I've played a few times, but at least Grixis, your removal was really good. And then Fury, Pyroblast, you just had this impenetrable wall versus Delver. And you had your own expressive iterations versus theirs. And obviously that era has passed. Delver kind of fallen off. And now the default air quotes Delver deck is Grixis Bowmasters. And Bowmaster versus Baleful Strix is not a favorable matchup, card for card. I still enjoy Grixis. I like the things that are going on. I think there's some slots in here that are cute. Like, I think having the Dack is a little cute. Prismari Command, I know that's one of Leo's signature cards that he likes to play, but you could probably do better with just Kolaghan's Command or some other card. Rise-Fall, that's also really cute. I was excited about it in the deck tech, but having played with it, having it be a 1-for-1 multiple times and a 0-for-1 once and never a 2-for-1, wow, that was bad. Maybe just put Hymn to Tarok in your deck that can cast Hymn to Tarok, or split them like 2-1 in favor of Hymn to Tarok if that's the effect you're looking for. We never really saw a mega grindy game where Rise is where you want to be on the Rise-Fall split. You also don't have to be doing the Hullbreacher thing at all. Like 2 Days Undoing or Hullbreacher, 1 Dack, plus then your +1 Narset. And you have 6 slots open for actual like regular interactive spells, and you're not trying to assemble AB, which is powerful. We did play to our outs, and the AB was the out in a game that we won. But maybe we wouldn't have had to play to that out if we just had like Fling to Dust or some other regular magic counterplay rather than trying to assemble the combo. Lots of ways you can go with an 80 card deck, but those are my thoughts after that. Leo, congrats on your top 8. Sorry this showing wasn't as good. If you're going to keep working on this deck, you need a plan for Bowmasters. If you're not playing it yourself, you really need to be able to answer it in a way that is efficient and meaningful. And frankly, the best answer to Bowmaster is Bowmaster. So maybe, despite the speech at the start of the deck tech, I may have come back around and thinking that's a card we want. Thank you for the deck all the same. good luck in your future events with it. Everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Patreon, and I'll see you next time.